So an organization may choose to undertake a re-engineering project before choosing ERP software. This project should indicate what best practices already exist in the organization's processes. Okay, so if our process is not good, what do? You will check with what is in the market they're doing. Then this approach may be preferable for a unique enterprise in a highly differentiated industry. Carrying out a re-engineering project before installing an ERP system defines what process changes are needed and which vendor software should be used. So now we will decide what is our process. Then we will decide whether to buy a predefined or preset ERP or we should buy a ERP and customize it. Clear? Then, if the organization is not especially unique, vendor software probably is already based on industry-based practices. That's why when you purchase this normal ERPs from the market, it's already customized for a particular industry. For example, majority, if you see majority hospitals, they use same kind of software. Majority schools, they use same kind of software, like Power School, there's one software. Majority school use that because it's custom made for schools. Then the process reflects in the ERP software may differ from the organizations. In this case, the better policy is usually to change the organization's processes. For example, if you don't have that much money to customize the software, then what you will do? You'll change your processes according to the software. Clear? Yeah. Customizing the ERP software is expensive and difficult, and it may result in bugs and awkwardness when adopting upgrades. Clear? Implementing an ERP system is likely to encounter significant resistance because of its comprehensiveness. Most employees will have to change ingrained habits and learn to use new technology. Thus, successful implementation requires effective change management. Okay. The disadvantages of traditional ERP is its extent and complexity, which makes customization of the software difficult and costly. Current generation ERP system. So in current generation ERP system, what happened? Even if, for example, a customer comes to your reception and asks for a inquiry about a product. In normal softwares, we don't record this, right? If the customer come and ask you, okay, can I get this particular product? We'll say no. But in a modern ERP, they will record it. Customer asked, we didn't have. So we are collecting data. So next time, after 1 month, we analyze this data. We will see a lot of inquiries for a particular product. We'll purchase and keep it. Clear? So the current generation of ERP software has added front office functions, which provide the capability of for smooth interaction with the business process of external parties such as customers, suppliers, shareholders, or other owners, creditors, and strategic allies. Accordingly, an ERP2 system has the following interfaces with its back office functions. One is supply chain management. Okay. Supply chain management applications for an organization focus on relationships extending from its suppliers to its final customers. Like for example, have you ever thought about how does an Amazon works? How do they track all those things? If they were having different softwares for handling customers, they have different suppliers, they have different, and for inventory, they have a different software. They can't manage this, right? Because once they ship a goods from their warehouse, they can track where it is, did the customer receive it or not. It's all part of ERP. They have incorporated the supply chain into their ERP system. Then issues addressed include distribution channels, warehousing, and other logistical matters, routing of shipments, and sales forecasting. Then, in turn, one organization's supply chain is part of a linked chain of multiple organizations. How? How does one organization's supply chain is linked to other companies' organization or other organization? Because when I say supply chain, it includes my company plus suppliers company plus customers company. In between, there is warehouse keepers or even logistics companies who do transportation for us. This is all a supply chain, right? Yeah. The chain stretch from the producers of raw materials to processors of those raw materials to entities that make intermediate goods to assemblers of final products to wholesalers to retailers and lastly to the consumers. Yeah. Now, supply chain management involves a two-way exchange of information. For example, a customer may be able to track the progress of its order, and the supplier may be able to monitor the customer's inventory. Thus, the customer has better information about order availability, and the supplier knows when the customer's inventory needs replenishment. Okay. I think there is in Carrefour, there is an option. For example, if you have few products you want regularly, you can book it for like 10. For example, I need 10 tissue box every month. If I schedule it every month, they will send you 10 tissue boxes without me requesting. Okay. Then an advanced planning and scheduling system may be an element of a supply chain management application for a manufacturer. It controls the flow of material and components within the chain. Schedules are created even given projected cost, lead times, and inventories. Then customer relationship and partner relationship. In an ERP system, before there was only finance or HR, those things, right? Now we have supply chain management, then customer relationship and partner relationships. So customer relationship management applications extend to customer service, finance related matters, sales and database creation and maintenance. Then integrated data is helpful in better understanding customer needs such as product preferences or location of retail outlets. Thus, the organization may be able to optimize its sales forecast, product line, and inventory levels. So, whatever we talk here is already there in the online market. So, when you search something in Google, automatically the Zoom will show you in next search as okay, you search for this is a product with discount. Why? Because why? How they could do? Because they already captured your search history and they analyzed it and they are giving you options. Okay. So business intelligence software is used to analyze customer data. Then partner relationship management applications connect the organization not only with such partners as customers and suppliers, but also with owners, creditors, and strategic allies. Collaborative business partnership may arise between competitors or between different types of organizations, such as manufacturing partners with environmental groups. Special software may be helpful to the partners in sharing information, developing a common strategy, and measuring performance. Then, advantages of current ERP: lower inventory cost, better management of liquid assets, reduced labor cost and greater productivity, enhanced decision making, then elimination of data redundancy, centralization of data, and protection of data integrity. Like elimination of data redundancy means if you are having three different ERP systems, like HR have one, inventory have, accounts have. So there can be chances multiple products, uh, multiple data. My name will be there in inventory and in accounts as well as in the HR as different data. Clear. So we can avoid it in a combined database. There. Avoidance of cost of other means of addressing needed IT changes. Then increase customer satisfaction, more rapid and flexible response to change circumstances, more effective supply chain management, integration of global operations, standardization and simplification of the decision making process. Then disadvantage of current DRP is that loss from an unsuccessful implementation. So any software's success depends upon the implementation. Even if you buy SAP or any software and you don't implement properly, it won't work properly. Then purchasing hardware, softwares and services, data conversion from legacy systems to the new integrated system. That means converting the data from the old software to the new software. Then training should be given to the employees how to use the new software. Then design of interfaces and customization, software maintenance and upgrades should be needed. Then salaries of employees working on the implementation, then additional cost. Clear. Challenges. So when you implement an ERP, what are the challenges you will face? Implementation of ERP may take years and cost millions. Moreover, a poor implementation causes the project to fail regardless of the quality of the software. However, more rapid and less costly implementation may be possible if no customization is done. Are you guys using ERP system? Any of yours? What softwares you use? For that, it's kind of ERP, but not fully set up. Okay. Yeah. So the initial step is to strategic planning and to organize a project team that is representative of affected employee groups. Like for example, if a new software is uh, going to be installed in your organization, first they will pick few people from HR, one person from HR, one person from accounts, and they will ask you to test the software, whether it is giving the reports what you needed, and you will be part of that team. So you are the one who is going to be affected, right? That's why whenever there's a software implementation is there, finance managers will be involved. And that's the guy who is supposed to check the software before implementing. Most cases it doesn't happen. Then the second step is to choose ERP software and consulting firm. Now, one possibility is to choose the software before the consultants because the first decision may affect the second one. Depending upon because there is in the market, you might see a consultant for SAP, different consultants are there, and for Oracle, you have different consultants, and for the Microsoft Dynamics, you have different consultants because they all doesn't do all the softwares. Okay, so first you have to decide whether you want Microsoft Dynamics or Oracle. First, you decide your software, then you will go for the consultant on that. Otherwise, you will choose a consultant who will first advise you which software you should take. Then you will take that software. Then you will go for the next consultant who is part of this particular software. So another option is to hire consultant to help with the selection of the software. The organization then may hire other consultant to help with the implementation. The third and longest step is to pre-implementation. Is the pre-implementation. The length of the process design phases is function of the extent of re-engineering and customization of the software. Clear? Data conversion may be delayed because all departments must agree on the meaning of every data field. That is, which value should be considered valid for that particular field. Like for example, date format. In some softwares, the date format is month, date, year, and in Excel we might follow date, month, and year. So you have to decide what format you should have. According to that, they have a different format like date, month, year. In US softwares and all, they use a month. That's the first item. So first you have to decide on that. Each field, what all items should come. Okay. Then the ERP system and its interfaces must be tested. Then implementation, that means going live is not the final step. Follow-up is necessary to monitor the activities of employees who have to change their routines. Okay. For example, a mistake caused by reverting to the old method of entering a sales order may have pervasive consequences in the new integrated system. A credit check, rescheduling of production, and ordering of materials. Training should be provided during implementation, not only regarding technical matters, but also to help employees understand the reason for process change. If you are just asked to, someone is coming and telling you, okay, don't attach purchase orders in the invoices. Because you will resist. You'll ask why we are supposed to attach. Then if I come up with an explanation, okay, don't attach the PO because in the new format of invoice, there is PO number. We can take it from a system invoice. So now you will understand, okay, you will not argue. So first, we have to educate the employees not only about the software and the reason of the process change. Then, for example, the employee who enters sales order should know what the effect, uh, what the effects will be throughout the system. Then, like for example, if you enter a sales order, for example, what do you say? In softwares, you might see different reports. You are taking from different places, you will get different answers. You might be looking for P&L, just P&L. We take from one area, you will get another profit, and from other place, you when you pull, it will give you another answer. Correct. You might have seen this, right? Why? Because in different places, it have different causes. There is a reason behind why this report is like this. For example, you have, okay, according to you're both working same place, right? Okay. At least you know. Okay, someone works in school, like the education organization. Like, for example, uh, every month you prepare a P&L or annual P&L. When you schedule, you pull it. It comes with all the students and its fees. Okay, and the other P&L, which is cash-based P&L. What you collected only it will show. So you need to understand why this report is coming. Clear? That's why. Okay, training should be given. Okay. Other change management techniques include effective communication to allay employees' fears and the creation of user-friendly documents and interfaces. Outsourcing. Okay. So outsourcing is the management or day-to-day execution of entire business function by a third-party service provider. So outsourced service may be provided on or off premises, okay, in the same country or in a separate country. Like even in Ethiopian, you might see two staffs who are working there. One is Ethiopian's own staff and one is outsourced staff. They come to Ethiopian, they sit there. Maybe I'm a permanent worker in Ethiopian and you are a temporary, okay, you are a contract worker. We both work in same place. So that's what outsourced service may be provided on or off the premises. On premises means it is outsourced staff, but you are in my office. And when you call the Ethosilat call center, you may be calling to India or Bangladesh or somewhere else. So that's the off-premises outsourcing. Okay. Outsources enables a company to focus on its core business rather than having to be concerned with marginal activities. For example, payroll preparation is often outsourced because a company doesn't want to maintain a full-time staff to perform what is only a weekly or monthly activities. Then business process outsourcing is the outsourcing of back office and front office functions typically performed by white collar and clerical workers. Examples of these functions include data processing, accounting, human resource, and medical coding and transcription. Insourcing is the transfer of an outsourced function to an internal department of a company to be managed entirely by company employees. The term has not been used to describe a foreign company's locating of facilities in a host country where it employs local workers. Then comes the co-sourcing is performed by performance of the business function by both internal staff and external resources such as consultants or outsourcing vendors who have specialized knowledge of the business function. Benefits of outsourcing includes reliable service, reduced cost, avoidance of the risk of obsolescence, and access to technology. Limitations include dependence on the outsourced party and loss of control over necessary functions. Theory of constraint and throughput costing. Theory of constraint means, okay, you have, for example, you have three levels of process: level one, level two, level three. And in level one, the output is 5,000 units, and in level 5,000 units in level one, and in level two, it is 3,000 units. And again in level 3 it's 5,000 units. So in 1 hour, for example, so 1 hour maximum, how much output you could get? The maximum 30. One for process one, it will go to the process 2. Then it will, yeah, continuous. Fine. What is the other answers?
Process 2 has been segmented forward, which is under 3,000, it will go to process 3.
Okay, so that's what, even if I process 5,000 only in the level 1, it will not go through the process 2 completely. Only 3,000 will go. So ultimately final output will be only 3,000. Clear? So this is called the constraint. So the second level of production is the constraint. Now we have to work on that. For example, I'm using 2,000 units, then it will not affect me anywhere. So if I want to increase my production, rather increasing in the level 1 or level 3 doesn't make any sense. I should increase the production the level 2. Clear? That's what we will discuss here. So theory of constraint is a system to improve human thinking about problems. It has been greatly extended to include manufacturing operations. Okay. So theory of constraint we could also use for ourselves. If anyone say you don't get time for study, you can think about that. You should make a schedule what you do every day, and you'll figure out what is the useless thing you do in a day, and you can use that for studies. Okay, so that's what theory of constraint. You can't, because the constraint what you have is you have only 24 hours. You can't make it to 28 or 25 hours. So you need to manage things in 24 hours. So this theory of constraint applies even in the investment criteria also. You might have multiple investment opportunity, but you have only limited money to invest. If you have a lot of money, you could invest in all the projects. If you have limited money, you have to choose the best option to invest. So the basic premise of TOC applies to business is that improving any process is best done not by trying to maximize efficiency in every part of the process, but by focusing on the slowest part of the process. Clear? So, yeah, that is what. If you try to improve a performance of someone, like, have you heard about learning curve? No. So, for example, you started exercising, you started running. So, when you start running first, you might complete 100 meters in half a minute, like 30 seconds. Then you run for 1 week, you might complete in 20 seconds. Again, next week, you might complete in 15 seconds. After that, you might take 1 month to complete, to increase at least 1 second to improve. You might take 1 month. So that's what initially the growth will be very steep. Then it will be not that much. Okay, you will not be running as fast as Usain Bolt. Okay, that's what here. Rather than trying to improve the whole area, like for example, you want to study, you want to work, you want to go for gym, everything you want to do, then you won't be able to do things. So you have to prioritize what is the main thing. No. So first we will work on the slowest part of the process. Okay. Now the slowest part of the process is called the constraint. Okay. So constraint can cause backups in the process because other process need to wait for the constraint to finish before the next process to be completed. Clear? As I said, the level 1 they completed 5,000 products, but the second level is taking only 3,000 units. So the other 2,000 units have to wait till this 3,000 is completed. Clear? Then increasing the efficiency of processes that are not constraints merely creates backups in the system. Rather than increasing this 3,000 to 5,000, what I did, I wanted to increase the production. I increased the capacity of the first level, 5,000 to 10,000. Now what happened? This 7,000 units will pile up between the level 1 and level 2. Yeah. The steps in a theory of constraint analysis are as follows. First one, identify the constraint. I will put it into personal perspective. If you are saying you can't study, you don't have time to study. So first you have to identify why you can't study. You first identify your constraint. Okay. Next, determine the most profitable product mix given the constraint. So then you will prioritize then daily basis, okay, you can't give up your work because work is the maximum profitable work you're doing, thing you're doing. You can even, sometimes you might give up sleep. Sleep also you can't give up because you should have a minimum sleep. Next, food, you can't avoid that. So what else you could avoid is using the mobile. Now, that's what. So usually when you eat food, okay, you are too much busy. You don't even use social media. You eat social use social media when you are eating food. So at that time you can utilize food studies also. Got it. So that's what. So maximize the flow through the constraint. So you don't have time. So whatever time you get. So now you're multitasking. You're eating food as well as you're studying also. Then increase the capacity at the constraint. Now what happened after increasing the capacity at the constraint? Still you need more time. You might not eat for 5 hours in a day. Right. You might eat maximum 1 or 1.5 hours all clubbed together. So you need more hours. So what you have to do? Redesign the manufacturing process for greater flexibility and speed. Then you will reshuffle your daily schedule and reduce whatever unnecessary things. Clear? Now, identify the constraint. The bottleneck operation. Bottleneck means when you take a bottle. Yeah. So this bottle is 300 ml, right? So when you take the water outside, all 300 ml will not come together. Why? Because the bottleneck is small. Clear. So that is a bottleneck. If you want more water to come, you should have a wider opening in the cap. So the bottleneck operation can usually be identified as the one where work in progress backs up the most. Yeah. Okay. Getting. Okay. So how do you identify the bottleneck? So bottleneck is the place where you will have a lot of work in progress piled up. As I said, from the level 1, 2, and 3, you need to find out what is the which is the block bottleneck. So when you see in the level 1, okay, there is no work in progress. Whatever coming there, they are processing. And level 2, okay, there is 2000 units standing waiting for the process. And then when you look at the level 3, whatever level 2 processes, level 3 is processing it freely. It also doesn't have any working progress. So level 2 is your constraint or bottleneck. Yeah. So the more a more sophisticated approach is to analyze available resources, that is number and skill level of employees, inventory levels, time spent on other phases of the process, and determine which phase has negative slack time. That is the phase without enough resources to keep up with input. Clear? Next. Like, okay, if you are talking about level 1, level 2, and level 3, yes. First method is you will check who is having the pileup of the work in progress. Second method is that who is not fully occupied. Level 1's capacity is 5,000, so 5,000 they are producing. Level 2 is 3,000, they are producing 3,000 also. But level 2 is producing 3,000, capacity is also 3,000. But when you go to the level 3, its capacity is 5,000, but it is processing only 3,000. That means that is a problem. So one process just before the third process is having the constraint. Yeah, this is how. Whatever the two methods you choose, you will get the answer as level 2 only. Okay. The method how to find out is we are talking about. Clear. Next. Next, determine the most profitable product mix given the constraint. A basic principle of theory of constraint is the short-term profit maximization requires maximizing the contribution margin through the constraint called the throughput margin. Okay, see, for example, I'm producing two products. Right. A and B. Okay. One, two, three. So for product A, my profit is $3 and product B is $4. So in level 3, 5,000 is the limit. And here this 3,000. And here 5,000. Maximum output we could take is 3,000, right? In an hour. So which product? Okay, and for my customers, there is a demand for product A and product B, like 4,000 units of product A has a demand, and for B, demand is 3,000 units. Okay, so which one you will produce first or more? Which one you will give priority? Which product? Product A or product B? Product B. So if you are producing product B, your profit will be 3,000 multiplied by 4. Yeah? And for product A, if you're producing, you can produce only 3,000 units.
No, but I get only.
$3. You get only 3. So 9,000 only you will get.
Please, 4,000.
So this is demand. Demand for product A is 4,000. Ah, okay. 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 No, it's fine. Okay, so demand for product A is 4,000 units. So even if demand is there for 4,000 units, you can't produce because there is a constraint in level 2. You can only produce 3,000. So what will happen? In short run, it will run. After 2-3 months, again, you are not producing the product A, then what happens to product A? Product A's customers will go to someone else. Why they should wait for you? Clear. So that's why when we discuss here, we said the basic principle of theory of constraint analysis is the short-term profit maximization. By using this, you are trying to maximize only the short-term profit. In long term, what will happen? You will lose your customers. Okay. So, so you will lose the throughput margin. This short-term focus may be contrasted with the long-term focus of activity-based costing. It considers all costs as a basis for strategic pricing and profit planning. To maximize, to make the most profitable use of the bottleneck operation, managers may need to produce the product with the highest throughput margin per unit, not the highest contribution margin per unit. Then throughput costing, sometimes called super variable costing, considers only the direct material cost as being truly variable and thus relevant to the calculation of the throughput margin. All other manufacturing costs are ignored because they are considered fixed in short term. So even direct labor is considered as a fixed cost, right? For short term, if you're talking about, because in US and in Europe, there is labor units. So they are the one who is negotiating the salaries of wages. So companies can't fluctuate. Yeah. So which makes sense considering that many companies have union contracts or policies that involve employee laborers, or at least paying them even when no work is available. So in throughput margin, what you consider is sales minus direct material is what your margin is. Yeah. No. Super variable. So you're going to try to understand the difference between super variable costing and variable costing. Okay. In super variable, we will consider only direct material as variable costing. Okay. And normally in variable costing, what all we will consider as variable? That is direct material, direct labor, and variable overhead we consider as variable expenses. Clear? Yeah. Okay. Sales. Variable costing. Purchase, contribute Margin. Nice. Right. And you will get this is variable costing. This is how the variable costing balance sheet will look like, right? The P&L looks like. I will zoom it. Okay, good enough. Next comes the super variable. Okay. Super variable cost. Here, so when you say here, variable cost means it's actually direct material, direct labor, and overhead variable. Okay. Here you will consider only direct material. Okay. So what you get is through throughput contribution. Okay. But when you see in financial accounts, what you see is absorption costing. And what you see is sales less COGS, right? Then you will get GP. Then you will have selling and admin. You will get net profit. Yeah. No. So during its first month in business, a firm produces 1,000 units and sold 80 while incurring the following cost. So direct material is 1,000, direct labor is 2,000, variable overhead is 1,500, and fixed overhead is 3,000. So according to super variable costing, the manufacturing cost is 1,000. According to manufacturing cost using variable costing, it is direct material, direct labor, and variable overhead. 4,500. According to absorption costing, it is 7,500. Clear? No. So when you follow three methods, variable costing, super variable, and absorption costing, you will get entirely different profits. Okay. Here is example. Cost option. Okay. Now, whatever the products you manufacture is 100 units, right? So the cost according to absorption costing, cost per unit is 75. According to variable costing is 45 and super variable is 10. Then ending inventory is 20 units. So ending inventory calculated as absorption is that is 1,500, variable is 900, and super variable is 200. So our sales is how much? 80 units, right? We are selling. Yeah. 80 units into, okay, here. Below is the comparison of the calculation of operating income under two of the methods. The units were sold at a price of 100. The company incurred 200 of variable selling and administration expense and 600 of fixed selling and administration expense. Now here, first we'll check the super variable costing. So 8,000 is the sales minus how much is the variable cost? Only direct materials. So 1,000 you will reduce. So out of this, there's a goods available for sale 1,000, and the ending inventory is 200 units, $200, right? So 800 is the goods cost of goods sold. Super variable cost of goods sold. So the throughput margin is 7,200. From this, you will reduce your direct labor, variable overhead. Variable overhead. Okay, variable overhead is variable overhead 1,500, fixed overhead 3,000 plus that 600. Yeah, that fixed selling and administration expense. So you're in a loss of 100. Yeah. Same calculation, same figures. When you do the variable costing, you're in an operating income of $600. And in absorption costing, how much will be your profit? Less or more? Less or more than this? Yeah. So most probably absorption costing no more. The profit will be more because you are considering more value. Fixed cost is considered into the inventory's value. Okay, just note that. Okay, now. So to determine the most profitable use of the bottleneck operation, a manager next calculates the throughput margin per unit of time spent in the constraint. Okay, for example, if time is your constraint, then how much time you have taken, say a particular product have taken to be manufactured, you will consider. So profitability is maximum by keeping the bottleneck operation busy with the product with the highest throughput margin per unit of time. So if you, the level 3 is having 3000 units output, if you want to keep the should not go your production less than 3000, then you should not manufacture anything less than 3000 through this level 3, level 2. Clear? When there are multiple products, the crucial factor in determining the optimal product mix is not which product is the most profitable in terms of absolute throughput margin, but which one has the highest throughput margin per hour. Here, how you will calculate, for example, price of the product we have given, right? $100 we are selling, and material cost is $10. So 90 is the throughput margin. And here, for manufacturing one unit, it takes 5 hours. That means in 1 hour, our throughput margin is $18. That's for the product one. That's how we calculate the throughput margin per constraint. Sometimes it can be hours, or sometimes it can be a machine hours or labor hours. Yeah. Next. To derive the most profitable product mix given finite resources, customer demand must be taken into account. If you're having 2 or more products, then in your factory you're producing 2 or 3 products, then you have to decide which product to be produced first. Okay, so now the available time in the bottleneck operation is first devoted to the product with the highest throughput margin per hour, then to the other products in the descending order until the company is unable to meet additional demand. So here there's an example. A firm sells 3 product A, B, and C with throughput margin per hour 18, 15, and 12. Okay. So respectively, product A spends 5 hours bottleneck in the bottleneck. Product B spends 5 hours, and C spends 4 hours. So from this, you might come to a conclusion that okay, we should first produce product A, then product B, then product C. But when you take the consideration of the hours spent, your answer might get changed. Okay, here. So a firm has determined it can sell 10 units of product A, 8 units of B, and 6 units of C. So what happens here? How many hours we have? 100 hours. So if you are going to manufacture all the products of product A, and how much hours you should take? So 10 units you need, 5 hours per unit. So 50 hours you are dedicating for product A. So 100 minus 50 hours. So you will get 50 remaining. So next 50, how much you need? 8 into 5 hours. That means 40 hours you need for the product B. So 10 is the remaining hours. So now next product, how much units you need to produce? 6 units, but it takes 4 hours per unit, right? So you have only 10 hours. So you can manufacture only 2.5 products. Clear? Got it? So you are in short of 14 hours. Got it? So what if I ask you to calculate the total profit of this company? How you will calculate? With this scenario, what is the total profit?
Then is to multiply by 18, which is for
Uh,
one day.
50 multiple.
10 multiplied by 8.
Yes, 10 multiplied by 18. Okay, then 8 multiplied by 15. And how much you could manufacture in the last step? Only 2. So 2 multiplied by 12. Yeah. Sometimes in exam, that may be the mistake. I'm just calculating the hours. Sometimes they might ask for the what is the how much hours we are in short. Then we will calculate this. Then comes maximizing the flow through the constraint. So this is the constraint we need more time, but we can't help it. So in this case, what happens? There is demand for 6 units, but we are manufacturing only 2. This is for a short term only. If you are doing this practice for a long term, this particular customer will go to someone else. Now, so maximize the flow through constraint. There is production flow through a constraint is managed using the drum buffer raw DBR. Have you heard about this DBR system? No. Okay. Have you seen in Discovery Channel or somewhere the production units? Have you seen the conveyor belt goes? And for example, filling the Pepsi can. One Pepsi can goes like this. Okay, two. There's a gap between like 30 centimeter. Every Pepsi can is having 30 centimeter gap. So there is a filling station here. The bottles comes here. Filling station comes and fill it. Then this moves. Next one is filled. So what happened? If you want to increase your production, what do you have to do? You have to distance. You will decrease the space between. So this is filled. Next other one is filled. So you will what this is called the drum buffer row. So they says that in convention like when you hit the drum and you second beat the drum, right? So there's a time gap. If you reduce the drum beat, it will increase the production. Same way. So here the drum that is the beat to which a production process marches is the bottleneck operation. The constraint as the pace of the entire process. If you want to reduce the speed, you increase the gap. If you want to multiply, increase the production, you reduce the gap. Clear? Now, the buffer is a minimum amount of working progress input in the drum that is maintained to ensure that it is always in operation. Okay, and the rope is then is the sequence of activities preceding the and including the bottleneck operation that must be coordinated to avoid inventory buildup. Clear? What if the gap here in this process A is only this much? And in process B or next process, the gap between the next, for example, putting the stickers in the bottle, it takes a longer period. And what happens? Whatever you manufactured here, go and pile up there. Clear? And so increase the capacity at the constraint. Okay, so there they can't put the labels as fast as the first unit. And what they will do? They will increase the speed in the second process. So the short run, theory of constraint encourages the managers to make the best use of the bottleneck operation. The medium term step for improving the process is to increase the bottleneck operations capacity. Clear. Then after for a longer period, you can't relay with the same machines, right? So you will redesign the whole process. So redesign the manufacturing process for greater flexibility and speed. The long-term solution is to re-engineer the entire process. The firm should take advantage of new technology. Product lines requires too much effort should be dropped, and remaining products should be redesigned to ease the manufacturing process. Value engineering is useful for this purpose because it explicitly balances product cost and needs of potential customers. Next. I think, yeah, we have that. Here, we'll discuss this first. Okay. No. You want a break? You are calorie deficit. That's why you can't concentrate. Okay, so identify the constraint. The company makes three products and airborne radar unit. So when you see this kind of question, don't try to figure out what is this product, how to read this name and all. Just say product A, product is product B. Yeah. So the product A, radar, product A and product S and product G. Under the current setup, the hours spent by each product in two phases of the manufacturing process. One is product A, S, and G will go through the assembly line. It takes 3 hours, 8 hours, and 5 hours. And in testing also, they take A takes 4, and S take 10 hours, and G takes 5 hours. Now, the company has total 150 hours available for every month of testing. So, under the current setup, okay, this will be the only question you are getting. All others are answers. Okay. From this point, you need to understand the constraint. What you're having is the testing hours. Got it? Clear. Now, now we decided what is the constraint here. That is the testing hours. Okay. Next, determine the most profitable product mix given the constraint. Now we need to find out the throughput margin per hour. Okay. The company calculates the throughput margin on each product and divides the hours spent in the test. So price of product A, B, and C is given. Price minus the material cost, you will get the throughput margin, and throughput margin divided by the constraint time. That is testing hours, 4 hours, 10, and 5 hours. Clear? So throughput margin per hour is 25,000, 20, and 10,000. So maximum you will try to produce product A. Then which one you will choose? Product, yes, but it takes 10 hours to complete. Product G takes only 5 hours to complete. Yeah, see, here in 10 hours, you get 20,000. In 5 hours, you get 10,000. Same, right? Okay. So, to derive the most profitable product mix given finite resources, a customer demand must be taken into consideration. At this point, here, there is no indifference whether to produce product S or product G. We don't have any confusion. Either of one we will take, right? But in this point, we get the customer demand. So customer demand is 12 units of A, 6 units of S, and 22 units of G. Now, first, what you are going to manufacture? We have 150 hours. The product A, 12 units, right? 12 into 4, 48 hours they take. So 102 is left. So 102 hours with this. Here, you see, if you are considering product S first, okay, so you could complete the whole product. Here, if you are considering product G, then what happens? You will not complete product G also, and you will not take any of the product of S also. So first you will consider the S, clear, which you could completely fulfill, clear. Now, the 60 hours they take, so 42 hours you have. So this 42 will divide with 5 hours, okay. So we have 66 hours shortage, but how much product you will produce? 42 divided by 5. That means 8 products, right? 8 products you will complete. Okay, so 16 products, 22 minus 8, how much? 14. 14, you are in short. Okay, 14 demand you can't fulfill. So applying the principle of theory of constraint, the company will forego some sales of the G in favor of products that are more profitable with the current constraint. So, yeah. Okay. Now after doing this, we have to check. So maximize the flow through the bottleneck operation. Here, company will apply a drum buffer rope system to ensure that the bottleneck operation stays busy on the high TM products with throughput margin products while keeping work in progress inventory to a minimum. Then increase the capacity of the bottleneck. The company will hire and pay more employees for the testing department. Yeah. Then, okay, if they didn't do this calculation, they would have hired any employee, right? Now they know they have to hire the testing department employees. Then the company will examine its markets and new manufacturing technologies to determine which product is it wants to continue selling, whether to add new ones and whether to retool the production line. Next, capacity management. So we might have when you do the budgeting and all those things, you used to hear about the capacity, right? Factory capacities. So there is actually three capacities. One is theoretical capacity. That is what it doesn't happen in the real world because we don't consider the repair time, maintenance time, down times. We don't consider. That's a theoretical capacity. That's a maximum output in ideal situations. Okay. Next one is the practical capacity. That's where we consider the downtime, repair time. After considering all these holidays and all, how much capacity we have, we call the practical capacity. And normal capacity is the average of a period of the practical capacities. Clear? So theoretical capacity is the optimal level of output that can be completed with zero downtime and zero wastage. Budgeting and planning based on theoretical capacity is not recommended because it is not reasonable for to assume zero downtime. Okay. Then practical capacity is the highest level of output that can be reasonably be attained, taking into account both planned and unplanned downtime and expected wastages. Okay. Then, okay, budgeting and planning based on the practical capacity analysis, allocation of fixed cost with normal production activity. A variance can be a signal for a change in the demand for the product, an issue with the production, etc. Then comes a normal capacity is the average level of output that can be completed over a period of time. Capacity planning. For example, your company is planning to increase the facility. For example, if you are running an institution and you are planning, okay, you did a market research and you understood next year you might there is a demand for a particular course. So you're going to open that course or you're going to start that course or increasing the seats for that course. So when you do that, you have to do the capacity planning, right? So first you will analyze the investment analysis. So whether you have to how much you have to invest in those things. Then capacity assessment. You do the market research and everything. And you will decide how much to increase. But what happens is when you do the research, same time, your competitor is also doing the research. For example, the market research says that next year there will be demand for a particular product for 10 units. Okay. Your competitor also expect that 10 units will be on demand. You also expect 10 units. So both of you produce. So in market, how much product is there? 20 units are there. So ultimately there's some surplus of product. So prices will drop. So what are things you should consider when expanding? Okay. So capacity planning is an element of strategic planning that is closely related to capital budgeting. Okay. According to the statement, effective capacity cost management requires investment analysis that in the short run, optimizing capital decisions and the effective and flexible use of investment that have already been made. Before doing further investment, you should check, are you using your full capacity or not? Okay. Then helping minimizing requirements for future investments, providing useful costing information on current process cost versus those proposed on the current or future investment projects proposals. Then capacity assessment, closing any gap between market demand and a firm's capacity. At times, the firm may have excess capacities, or at others shortages may exist. The capacity may be physical, human, technological, or financial. Supporting the establishment of capacity using measurements that identify the cost of capacity and its implication impact on business cycles and overall company performance. Then identify the capacity required to meet strategic and operational objectives and to estimate current available capacity. Then detailing the opportunity cost of unused capacity and suggested ways to account for the cost. Creating a common language for an understanding of capacity cost management. Capacity should be defined from several different perspectives. Managing the cost of that capacity starts when a product or process is first envisioned. It continues through the subsequent disposal of resources downstream. Like for example, when you plan to increase the capacity, you have to think about what if there is no that much demand or there is a seasonal downtime. How you are going to manage the cost of maintaining this capacity? Then manufacturing process assessment, maximizing the value delivered to the customers, supporting effective matching of the firm's resource with current and future market operations, then eliminating waste in the short, intermediate, and long run, then supporting change efforts by providing pre-decision information and analysis of the potential resource and cost implication of the planned changes. That capacity planning is part of the capital budgeting process. So estimating capacity levels for future periods allows for the acquisition of more capacity when needed or disposal of capacity that is not expected to be utilized. Then capacity level influences product cost, pricing decisions, and financial statements. How? For example, you have a planned capacity of 10,000 units, but you are manufacturing only 5,000 units. How does it affect your pricing strategy? How it will affect? How? There is a fixed cost, right? For example, the depreciation of 10,000 units machine, you're charging 2 units, you're manufacturing, that's only 5,000 units. So you will be overpriced. If you need only 5,000 unit production plan, you should use only 5,000 unit production plan. Yeah. Similarly, producing at full capacity can have a cost in the form of opportunity cost. A company that could generate additional sales if it has more capacity need to address whether the acquisition of additional capacities warranted or not. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. You'll read this off. I thought it's finished. Capacity expert. Sure. Okay. This is the part where have you heard about Michael E. Porter? Michael Porter? M. Porter. Porter's five force competition model.
I don't know.
He's saying, yeah, he's a renowned theorist, management theorist. So he is the man who said, okay, so when you're planning about the capacity expansion, you should do the market research. Okay, but your competitor is also doing the same market research, and they will also estimate the demand. So you both will estimate the same demand, and what happens? The surplus capacity will be there in the market. Okay, so according to Michael Porter, determining whether to expand capacity is a major strategic decision because the capital required, the difficulty of forming accurate expectations and long-term uh, time frame of the lead times and the commitment. If you're deciding to invest in a capital investment or you're going to purchase a machinery, it's not a small amount, it's a huge amount. So it will take a lot of commitment of capital. Then what happens? Okay, you have to maintain this machine for a long term. Okay, so these all things should be considered. Also, it's very difficult to analyze the long term market returns. So the key forecasting problems are long-term demand and behavior of competitors. The key strategic issue is avoidance of industry overcapacity. Okay. Now, capacity expansion is also referred to as market penetration because it involves increasing the amount of an existing product in an existing market. Okay. So undercapacity in a profitable industry tend to be a short-term issue. Okay. if there is under capacity, demand is there for 10,000 units, but we all are manufacturing altogether we are manufacturing only 8,000 units. Then it's a temporary problem because some of the other one will increase the production capacity or demand will fall. So the profit ordinarily the additional investors overcapacity tends to be long-term problem because firms are more likely to compete intensely rather than reverse their expansion. Okay. Then a formal capital budgeting process entails predicting future cash flows relating to the expansion projects, discounting them at an appropriate interest rate, and determining whether the next net NPV is positive. This process permits comparison with other uses of the firm's resources. The whole thing, what we discuss here, we'll study in part two, capital budgeting. So the apparent simplicity of the process is deceptive because it depends upon, among many other things, which expansion method is chosen and developments in technology and profitability. The later factor in turn depends on such uncertainties as long-term, total long-term demand and the expansion plans of rival firms. Then Porter's model of the decision process of capacity expansion has the following interrelated steps. The firm must identify the option relating to the size, type, degree of vertical integration, and possible response by competitors. What is vertical integration? Any idea? No. Vertical integration means merging with any of your supplier or customers. Supplier or customers. Horizontal integration or merging is you merge with your competitors. So the second step is to forecast demand, input cost, and technology developments. A firm must be aware that its technology may become obsolete or that the future design change or to allow expansion may or may not be possible. However, the expansion itself may put upward pressure on the input prices. Then the next step is analysis of competitors to determine when each will expand. So we need to know when they are going to expand also. So the difficulty is that forecasting the behavior depends on knowing their expectations. And the difficulty is that each competitor's action potentially affect all other competitors' action, with the industry leaders being most influential. Okay. Using the foregoing information, the firm predicts total industry capacity and firm's market share. These estimates, together with the expected demand, permits the firm to predict prices and cash flows. The final step is testing for inconsistencies. So the extent of uncertainty about future demand is a crucial variable in determining the nature of industry expansion. For example, if uncertainty is great, firms will willing to take greater risk because of their large cash resources or strategic stake in the industry will act first. Whoever having more cash will first expand. Yeah. Other firms will wait events. When demand uncertainty is low, firm will tend to adopt a strategy of preemption, usually with strong market signals to forestall competitors' expansion plans. Excess preemption leads to excess industry capacity because firms overestimate their competitive strengths, misunderstand market signals, or fail to accurately assess competitors' intentions.